Hello everyone, welcome to Calendar with Christine Talbot and Duncan Wood.
On tonight's programme,
diagnosed with HIV at 8 years old after a contaminated blood transfusion. Melanie McKay speaks out for the first time.
I had never even heard of HIV, so I didn't know what it would mean or what I was to expect. And I started to learn to understand I would be living with it for the rest of my life.
But first tonight to one woman's fight for justice after catching HIV from tainted blood during surgery almost 30 years ago.
Melanie McKay from East Yorkshire was just a little girl when she got the virus during a blood transfusion. The blood had been taken from infected prisoners in America.
Campaigners have fought for 25 years for justice, and tonight a Yorkshire MP has revealed a new development. We'll be speaking to him in a moment, but first Tina Gelder has Melanie's story.
When Melanie McKay was a little girl, she had two major operations, during which she had a blood transfusion and was given factor VIII, a blood-clotting protein. But one of those products was contaminated. Melanie had been infected with HIV. She was just 8 years old when she was diagnosed. She was only told when she was 14.
I had never even heard of HIV, so I didn't know what it would mean or what I was to expect. And I started to learn to understand I would be living with it for the rest of my life. The 18 years that have passed have been, I would say, probably a roller coaster, because I have my good days and I have my not so good days.
Today, Melanie tells me, is a good day. Her immune system is doing well. A daily regime of tablets helps to keep her alive. Even so, now aged 32, she is confounding doctors' expectations.
They told my parents that they wouldn't expect me to live beyond the age of 10. And I'm now like 32, shortly to be 33 in October. So I have defied all medical odds that I'm still here today.
Melanie is one of thousands of people who were infected with tainted blood bought by the NHS from American sources. What the NHS didn't know was that their suppliers used so-called skid row donors, such as prison inmates and drug users, who were more likely to have HIV and other infections. The government has paid out compensation, but from Melanie an accusation that doesn't go far enough.
It would be great if the government gave us an apology. Because 20 years on, we've still not had an apology from the government. Say, yeah, we did get it wrong and we should have acted on it sooner.
Melanie has never before spoken publicly about her condition, fearful of the consequences.
We ought to do this more often, maybe go out today somewhere.
But she says the support of friends she's made in Bridlington, people like Anne, has given her the strength to confront the prejudice that still surrounds HIV.
I would like to become more open about living with HIV. Just take that person of who they are, not what they've got.
Melanie says she'd have loved to have been a wife and a mother. I ask her if she feels bitter. Her reply is candid.
When I first got told, I used to think, and for a number of years, I used to always say, why me? Why me? Why did it happen to me? I wish I was dead, and sometimes I still do think that. But I try not to let it ruin my life or run my life, because I want to live life to the full, and I live every day when it comes.
The tainted blood scandal has been described as one of the greatest tragedies in modern healthcare. Melanie McKay would agree. She's part of an HIV support group that once had more than 90 members. She's now one of just 16 still alive. And while she describes every day as a battle, she says every day is also a bonus.
Tina Gelder reporting there. Well, a little earlier I spoke to Jason McCartney, the Conservative MP for Colne Valley, who brought this issue to the attention of Parliament last year. And he revealed that there's been a new development in the campaign.
Yes, we're not giving up the fight down here in Parliament, and we're actually setting up an all-party parliamentary group to fight for justice for the victims of the contaminated blood scandal. I'm going to be one of the co-chairs of that group, and we're actually forming it in conjunction with the Haemophilia Society, and we'll be having our first meeting in 2 weeks' time to continue the fight for these victims.
Just so we understand properly, there has been some compensation paid out already to the victims, hasn't there?
Yeah, compensation has been paid out to the victims for many years via two funds, the Skipton Fund for those that have contracted hepatitis C and the McFarlane Trust for those that have contracted HIV from contaminated blood products. However, the government announced a new compensation package in January of this year, but quite frankly, it's not enough. And we're campaigning for a proper compensation package for the victims. And of course, we would like a full public inquiry and a proper apology.
But Jason, this is your government that's going to have to pay out these extra millions as well. I mean, can they afford it at the moment?
No, money's tight, you're absolutely right, but we've just been voting in Parliament this afternoon. I've been voting to stop the bailouts of European countries like Portugal and Greece, and at a time when money's tight, I think we have to prioritise things. But I certainly think that those people, innocent victims of this contaminated blood scandal, remember they were suffering from haemophilia or they needed blood transfusions, they were given contaminated blood that gave them hepatitis C, HIV, AIDS, or even mad cow disease, and over 2,000 of them have died, and I really do think it's the right thing to do to care for them and their families.
Jason, thanks very much indeed. Jason McCartney, the Conservative MP for Colne Valley.